Hey, it's Q&A day. As you might know, I do an episode like this every month where I take questions from the community. Today, I would say the through line of the conversation wove heavily around the topic of discernment, trusting yourself, and all the opportunities we're given to show that we can be trusted with more. In other words, we talked about fragrance, coffee, and imitation brands. I opened up sharing about my Ready, Set, Glow detox, which starts next week if you want to join us. And I also have 2 new programs I'm cooking up that you might be interested in. So tune into the first few minutes to hear about those. Next week, I'll be releasing my series on money. So watch for that. But until then, let's go on to today's episode of Questions and Conversations. Welcome to Whole Fit Talks. This is a show just for you. Somebody interested in taking ownership of your health, leading your life, and living your legacy. And I'm so pumped you're here because I am another you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing this out with your friends and with your teams. Let's dive into this week's episode. Alrighty, we are live. Welcome you guys to Whole Fit Talks, last Wednesday of the month at 2 o'clock Eastern. I'm using a new mic, and Facebook, you'll be the only ones that can actually pick up on this because Instagram, I'm in my loft office, so there's always a little bit of an echo. I'm actually doing a recording with doTERRA tomorrow, and I wanted to test out the mic that they sent me, little snowball mic. This is what I used to use back in the day when I had my first podcast. Any of you hang around for the Holistic Health Diary days? That was the very first podcast that I started with a friend of mine, and we used a mic just like this. So I feel like it's all vintage in my office. So if we're good to go, we're good to go. Welcome to our monthly time together. My assistant's saying I sound a little bit tin-y. Well, you know what? We'll roll it for today. I might actually use this to record a few episodes this week when I'm not in my loft. Hold on, let me get my... There we go. Okay, we're up and going. I can see we're all here. So you guys, I'm just reading some of your comments on live here. Yeah, we should be good to go. Okay, let me just pull up our notes for today. Welcome if you're new here. If you want to hang live more often, I go live here on Facebook and on Instagram on the last Wednesday of most months at 2 o'clock Eastern. I'll give you right now, if you want to track it down for next month, our time in May will be May 22nd, because next month on the last Wednesday, we are hosting a big health event here in London, Ontario with doTERRA. So I won't be here with you, I'll be there. So May 22nd is our next one. I am Ange Peters, I'm the founder of Whole Fit, and I'm a holistic health and wellness and business coach. I love talking about any of those things. I love talking about leadership. I also have come to love talking about abundance and business and money. And I'm working on a series for you guys. I had actually intended for it to be released this past weekend. But as I was working on it, I kept feeling prompted to go deeper into the topic and not just some of the finance chatter that we see out there, but to actually take it to a deeper level that we can all apply. So I'm excited to bring that to you. That's going to release this week. I'm actually going to record 3 separate episodes on the topic of finance. The first one will be, can I be trusted with more money? Topic 2 of the series will be a financial health checklist and a tracker. I'm actually going to give you a copy of the tracker that I personally use to track all of the dollars in and out. So I'm going to give that to you in episode 2. And then episode 3 will be all of your finance questions that you and the community submitted. I also am excited to share advice that you gave over on Instagram. Thank you for those nuggets. Some really great little tips came in about handling money and finance. So that's going to be episode 3. And what I'm going to do is actually create a whole page on WholeFit, which will house these 3 episodes and any tools and links and anything I suggest during that series. If you guys are wanting to share this out, you can click share on Facebook, share it out to your team pages. If you have a doTERRA team specifically, this podcast does attract a lot of the doTERRA community, but it's not just a doTERRA podcast. We explore a lot of those topics that affect life, especially if you are in a position where you own your own business. You're going to take a lot from our conversations together. And if you have a question for today, I always like to honor you that are here live. So when we actually get to the Q&A, you can type your questions in capital letters, okay? Because sometimes the chat box moves a little bit quickly. And so it's easier for me if you type your question in all capital letters. I want to open up, as we always do on the monthly show, and read the review of the month. This was left by Valrod1 over on iTunes. So Valrod1, if you're on live, let us know you're here. She said, Ange, I've never, ever left a review on a podcast before, but that all changed when I heard you speak at Leadership Retreat this past month. When you spoke, my instinct was to learn more and somehow connect with you. Your teaching's so real and everything I was looking for. You inspire me to be the best me and up my game and live my best and most beautiful life. I just can't stop listening to you. You speak from the heart. I just joined the lab and I wake up at 5 a.m. just to go through the material. Thank you for putting outstanding content out there. We needed this. You've blessed my life and answered prayers in many ways. Valrod1, thank you so much. And we would also like to thank you by hooking you up with a 50% off promo code. So if you could message my assistant, Jill, at teamwholefit@gmail.com, we will connect you with that code. Maybe you want to use it for my Ready, Set, Glow program, which is starting on Monday. So I want to go through just a few quick updates before we go to questions. Hi, Mom. My mom on Instagram said she likes my hair parted on the side. Thanks, Mom. Okay, Ready, Set, Glow, as I was talking about, runs starting Monday, April 29th. It goes till May the 5th. And I'm going to suggest, if you're going to join us for this round, that you purchase by Friday. Because on Friday, I'll be going live in our private detox Facebook group at 2 o'clock Eastern to welcome all the new cleansers and go through any questions they have and do a quick overview of the program. And just real quick, you can obviously find all the details if you go over to WholeFit and look up Ready, Set, Glow, or just type the word glow and the detox will come up. This is a program available to anybody. It's not a doTERRA program. It's not for my team. This is one of my WholeFit coaching programs. And it is a whole week. It's 7 days long of juicing and smoothies and whole food nutrition. It is completely plant-based. Okay. So you're cutting out some of the heavier categories that drain on our energy at times. And we're going to do it together. Okay. And I have a very specific sequence that you follow each day to shift in your body. And you're going to be given a lot of great guidance around protocols and routines that you can start to incorporate. Once you're in for life. Okay. So it's $45 US. It does not include any products. I just saw somebody ask about that. It has nothing to do with doTERRA. Okay. Although, obviously essential oils and a lot of our supplements in doTERRA are key tools that I personally use in my life. So I do offer you some guidance on how you can integrate those if you do have them. And actually, I'll share a website I created for you guys that do want to integrate oils for this detox. If you go to wholefit.com/oils for detox, we'll put that link up on Facebook. You'll find what I've not done is assuming that you begin with one of doTERRA's most popular collections, the Home Essentials Kit. I've given you guidance on how you use those 10 oils and blends for the detox, specifically how you'll use them during our detox week. And then I do make some other suggestions of supplements and other oils you could integrate if you want to go even deeper than that. But that is totally optional. So again, if you want to join us, please register by Friday so that you do have enough time to prep, because preparing for our week together is really the biggest determinant of your success together. And one cool thing, because you are in for life with this, I run this cleanse usually twice a year, guided. You can do it at any time on your own if you'd like. However, you'll find that every time you do this detox, you'll go a little bit deeper. and perhaps I can call in some of you who are here, who are in Ready, Set, Glow, in that community. Have you noticed this? Do you notice that every time you do it, you realize that you are at a new level than you were before? I share this a lot with my team, that there are things when you're going through something for the first time and when you're in growth, it always feels hard, always. But don't quit, because when you stick through it, you are developing a new normal for yourself. You will find that 6 months from now or a year from now, things that felt really hard right now are just your new normal. You don't even notice them anymore because you've integrated them as routine, as your normal, okay? I'm also, on the note of programs, I wanted to let you know real quick that I'm cooking up 2 new programs right now. I'm in creation mode, which is probably my favorite place to be. And I have 2 programs that might interest you if you are somebody who has been looking at joining doTERRA, okay? Now, through these 2 programs, they are both for the whole fit community. The first one I want to share is a launch program that I'm working on. I'm collaborating with 10 other presidential diamonds in doTERRA to offer you this program. This is going to be for my personal wellness advocates. We're doing kind of a beta run of coming together to bring all of the doTERRA business tools to life. And then our plan is we're going to take this to doTERRA and offer it as an example of a successful way to integrate, with the hopes that doTERRA takes what we do and follows a similar fashion on the .com so that it's available to anybody. But that's coming up in May. So that launch program kicks off I believe May 13th. It's going to run till middle of June. The only reason I'm sharing it with you here is if you have been wanting to join doTERRA specifically to start a wellness business, now's your time. Here's why. You will rarely ever hear me suggest that you begin with doTERRA to start the business. Because I'm very convinced that you need to start as a customer because of how important your connection to the oils and to your self-care and your education is to anybody you could help down the road. So this would be for you if you have a good routine going in your life. You're now looking to integrate. Perhaps you're a health coach. I do work with quite a few health coaches, nutritionists, personal trainers, yoga instructors who they have a lot of that ritual and care built into their day already. And so integrating oils, maybe they're using other brands right now. So anyway, that's something you might be interested in. If you want to learn more, you can go to wholefit.com/oils. I do have a mention of it there. What I would like you to do is get started with your kit, email me this week, and I'll make sure you get the content for the launch program. The second program I'm working on right now is a healthy habits program. This is a collaboration I'm doing with my team to basically anchor this lifestyle in 21 days. So we're working on a program and a Facebook group, and there's giveaways and all this stuff for incorporating exercise, nutrition, better sleep, reducing stress, self-care, all those things. And this also, for those of you that might be on other teams, again, this is kind of a pilot program. So I'm looking to take this to doTERRA to say, here's what we've done. And here, because we have a new kit that launched. How many of you know about this Healthy Habits collection? It has just launched, and it's a brilliant way to start if you're looking to begin as a customer with doTERRA. And so we're looking to just beef up the support around starting with that kit. So you can find more info on that collection if you go to wholefit.com to the blog. I have a whole blog page about doTERRA's Healthy Habits Kit. And that program we're running in our community from June the 10th until the 30th, okay? So lots of dates there. If you guys missed what I said, of course, we'll have it in the show notes. Just so you know, I post all of the show notes and podcast episodes to WholeFit under the podcast menu. So you can find everything we go through there. So those of you that are here live, let's get into some Q&A today. On this episode, I do straight up Q&A. And I actually like to call it Q and conversation because I don't have the answers. I don't. But what I can share with you as somebody who has built her business from the ground up for over 10 years. I have gone through many of the things that you may find yourself going through right now. And so I would love to have a conversation around your questions. So like I said, if you're here live, post them in capital letters into either Instagram or Facebook. And I'm just going to scroll right now. I'm going to start going with Jill. Actually, if you could copy paste any comments that come up on Facebook live right now, just into our notepad going here. But I'm going to start taking some of the questions that were submitted for this week's or this month's show while you guys are thinking of what's on your mind. Maybe you're here just to hang, and that's cool too. Yes, I'm wearing a onesie. Can you guys see my onesie? Okay, question 1 came from Laura. She said, what about people who won't use oils in clinics or offices or public places because of the scent allergy? What do you suggest for people to turn to for resources? Okay, I hope I can take more than 60 seconds with this question with you guys. This might be something that really baffles you right now or is on your mind. So first, let's clear up 3 things. So we have fragrance or perfume. We have fragrance oils, which a lot of companies call essential oils. Okay, I'll talk about that in a second. And then we have doTERRA quality essential oils. So often those 3 things are thrown in this pot together as if they're the same thing. So fragrance, you guys, and fragrance oils. So when I say fragrance oils, I mean what a lot of other companies are selling or labeling as essential oils. Okay. Those 2 things are synthetic. They typically contain petroleum, which is no bueno to be using, solvents, stabilizers, different preservatives, dyes. I mean, these are among the 14 other chemicals that they don't even need to list on a label. Most fragrance has way more than 14 ingredients that they don't have to put on a label. You can learn a lot about that if you go to the EWG and just search the word fragrance, okay? But these chemicals, the reason that we need to be dialed into this is because we have lived through decades of using them and have now come to discover that they're living in our cells, in our tissues. We know this most. There was a research study done about 10 years ago. So this is, I'm not sure if there's been a more recent one done, but we'll pop the link up on Facebook there. A study found over 200 concerning chemicals in newborn cord blood. So what this means is mom was either being exposed to so many different chemicals that decided to take up real estate in her placenta, or she had been using them for so much of her life that they never left the body. The body was so overwhelmed, had to store it in the fat tissue. So it hung around, and now it finds itself in the cord blood of a newborn. And so there's a lot of concern that started about 15 to 20 years ago that our babies are being born into this world already in a state of toxic overload because of the choices that mom made. Now, mom didn't always know these things were harmful. My mom's on live right now. There's a lot of things that she was introduced to when she was my age, or even 10 years younger than I am now, in her 20s, that nobody was talking about. Nobody knew that these things were going to take up residence in our body. Nobody was talking about the fact that what we put on our skin and what we're putting in our body and breathing in is all the same. It's all connected, right? We had this perception that we only had to be concerned about what we were actually putting in our mouth. But yes, who just mentioned that? Something about the, let me scroll up here for a second. Sherry said, on the topic of fragrance, Netflix has a great documentary called Stink. Yeah, I watched that a couple years ago. It's devastating, right? It's crazy how much it's used out there. So our bodies have been telling us for years now that these ingredients are actually something to tune into. Hence the policies at workplaces. Okay, hence why a lot of schools and offices now have a no fragrance policy, and for good reason. Good, that's great that they have that, right? So this comes back to the conversation of what are we actually talking about when we say fragrance? It's not pure essential oils that come from plants. Pure essential oils, such as what doTERRA uses only, are steam distilled or cold pressed from the plant. That's all that's in that bottle. There are no synthetics. But again, we have doTERRA, and then we have the hundreds of other essential oil companies. So for that same reason, I can appreciate why aromatherapists inject a lot of fear into people around using essential oils internally, because just because somebody says I'm using an essential oil, that very likely is not what they're using. And of course they shouldn't take it internally. Okay, so there's a good reason why a lot of this information is out there, because you just don't know what someone's actually using. Most people don't know what they're using. And this is a lot of our conversation on this show is ask better questions, get to the truth, right? Ask the right questions, get the answer you're looking for. Don't ask the questions and you stay in the dark, right? Ask the right questions. Now, my advice here is, and really the deeper thing is here, I think that when we want to see a school or an office place start integrating essential oils, we want to help everybody, right? We've discovered something in our own life and we want to help other people live healthier. However, the path of others is not your responsibility. All you can do, you guys, all you can ever really do is be an example and offer guidance when they're ready. Shared workplaces are always going to be a challenge because it depends on the person in charge to make that decision. And if the person in charge hasn't had the lights turned on in certain areas, that place of work, that school is not going to transition to something healthier. And schools specifically will always have challenges like this because of who's paying their bills. Follow the money and you'll see where the decisions are made, right? So until someone's body forces them to understand that what they've been doing is harming them, they're not likely going to be open to what you know, okay? Your truth is your truth. Their truth maybe just hasn't come around yet. And it's not up to you, right? So a lot of us are making better decisions in this area than we did when we were younger, and that's good. It's never too late, right? The bottom line is there's a wisdom within nature that has nothing to prove. Nature has nothing to prove, and either should you. We are absolutely heading into a time where the people that are truly taking the upgrade in their life in every way, living healthier, living with the lights turned on, they're not proving anything anymore. They're not going to convince you, okay? What's going to happen is everyone who was kind of sitting back and waiting, they will slowly start to come around, and they will come to people like you who have been a living example of what you're teaching. I'll share with you that almost everybody that I've helped start on a healthier lifestyle with doTERRA in the last year are people that first reached out to me 5 years ago, and it took them that long to come around. And that's okay. It seems long in my mind because of how amazing I know this way of life is. To be able to be in more control of your health and to have access to the tools you need. In my opinion, I wish everybody would act faster on that. But if it takes somebody 5 to 10 years, then that was their right timing, right? Yeah, let's make that the quotable today, Gwen. Nature has nothing to prove, and neither should you. So be there when they're ready, be an example, and release that energy of proving. All right, I saw some questions come in. Jennifer said, not looking to bash another company. However, I have customers discussing switching to Revive. When I looked into it, they are comparing their oils to doTERRA. However, people who do not get the true value are now believing this is a legit company. Any insight into this? And is doTERRA taking any action? Of course, doTERRA is taking action. I mean, there's so much. When you have, okay, yes, let me split this up. Yes, they won't be talking the way they are in a couple weeks. So this company Revive, how many of you have seen ads? I've seen them all over Facebook. They've got like a handful of doTERRA oils in their hand, and it's like a mom blogger. And she says, hey, come learn which oils we found to be the most pure. And you click through, it's a picture of doTERRA, and you click through and they're saying our brand is better than doTERRA, but cheaper. So we, like, in your guts, you know that anytime you have a brand saying that, you know it's not true, for the same reasons that anybody using a Dell computer, just to be straight up, Apple is not concerned about the CEO and store managers with Dell saying that their computers are just as good as Apple, but cheaper. Dyson doesn't care either. Dyson doesn't care that Hoover compares themselves to Dyson and says we're cheaper. The brand leader never truly cares. doTERRA doesn't care that Revive is using doTERRA bottles all over their marketing and calling their blends the same, because legally they can't. Legally, they're going to be stopped within the next couple of weeks. But I certainly could care less. If people, okay, so if people decide to join a company that's saying we do doTERRA but cheaper, what is that customer valuing most in their life? You're not going to reach people right now who value saving a couple dollars over their health, okay? You're not going to reach them right now. So they are going to go purchase Revive, or they are going to go purchase at the mall or wherever, and they'll be back in a couple years. Yeah, there's a lot of background. I see some of you commenting on Revive and that Dr. Pappas is involved with them. Yes, so there's like history there, right? You know what's up, you guys. You know what's up. And this will keep happening. I mean, of course, if I was a company launching an essential oil line, of course I'm going to look at doTERRA and think, what are they doing? How can we do it but cheaper, and then market it in the same way? The industry is not governed, you guys. So they can say whatever they want. And you as the consumer have to have discernment. You have to teach people to have discernment. I'm essentially teaching you that right now, but you know, don't sweat it. My goodness. Of course we know that what they're saying isn't true. But the proof will be in what happens next when somebody brings those oils home. Okay, let's go back to a question from the queue, and then I'll return to the live questions. Okay. Question 2 from Kylie. She says, not super conversation promoting, but what coffee maker do you use? Kylie, I have everything I use and love in the shop on wholefit.com. If you guys go over there, I have everything I use and love categorized. So I have like the Healthy Home shop. Oh, and just so you guys know, I'm going to do a series next month. I'm going to go through my 10 most loved products in each category. I'm going to explain why I love them. These are like the 10 things I really couldn't go without. Okay. So I'm going to do a series on that because I thought it'd be kind of fun to learn, like, what are the top 10 apps I like love on my phone, or what are the 10 things I'm always using in my kitchen? So I'm going to do a series on that for you. Kylie had a second part of her question. She said, what brand of coffee do you use, and what's your preferred coffee maker? Oh, we already answered that one. Okay. Just asking what kind of coffee I use. So as you guys know, I do bulletproof mornings. I've been doing it for over 5 years because I love how I feel on it. I typically wouldn't suggest that you do something every day for that long. And I do take periodic breaks from coffee, but I also am not just doing straight coffee. So what I do, number one, I was in the coffee industry, if you will, for 15 years before I launched WholeFit. Not in like the sourcing part of the industry, but I worked with the Starbucks brand. Okay, so the best beans you can purchase. Number one, organic, or if it's a smaller company, often smaller companies don't have the capabilities of going through organic certification. But if you get to know a brand that you love and trust and their processes, then that goes a lot farther than an organic certification label, okay? But Latin American beans are typically the cleanest beans. When you're purchasing African coffees, for example, they tend to have more mold. So Latin American, organic if possible. And then what I do is a mix of, I'll do half decaf, half caffeine, but not just decaf organic, and you want Swiss water process. Often they'll use a lot of chemicals to decaffeinate a coffee. So you want to be mindful that it's Swiss water processed. So I already cut the caffeine there. Then I will often do half of that blend and half chaga or Creo brew. And again, I have those things listed in that shop. So that's kind of my base. And then I add in organic fats. So I'll do a grass-fed organic butter, 2 tablespoons of that. The coffee I'm working with is about 3 cups volume. 2 tablespoons of organic butter, and then 1 tablespoon of MCT oil. Sometimes I'll add some cacao. Sometimes I'll add doTERRA peppermint oil or cinnamon or turmeric oil. I love to play with it, but that's kind of the base. So I hope that helps. Okay, Allie's Pure Oils said, tips for building a doTERRA business in a brand new market. Oh, Allie, you submitted your question. So yeah, perfect. Let's get to that here. So you're in South Africa. doTERRA is opening up there this summer. So you're wondering what you can do when you want to be new in a market and be a pioneer, be the one who's going to spread it. So let me just see if there's anything more to your question that I found here. So I actually, a couple of episodes ago, I think it was episode 48, because we're on episode 50 now. Episode 48, it's called Goals, Going First, and Growth. I elaborated on this in that episode, just sharing, my experience. So I'm one of the founders of doTERRA in Canada. So what that means is in Canada, we weren't able to share doTERRA, as openly because it wasn't quite registered as a business yet. And it was also, I was the very first person I knew in Canada doing doTERRA. So what that meant was I had to be willing to do all the things to bring a new concept to life in this area. But what that started with was me, right? It started with my own personal routine with the oils. And so that's step 1. Make sure you've got a real rock solid routine using your oils, living the fundamentals of this lifestyle, so that you are a walking, talking example of what you're about to start sharing, because that's going to edify you. Your example edifies what you're teaching. And so when you are first in a new area with a new way, a new concept, people are going to be looking. They're going to peel back the layers. They're going to wonder, well, what is this true? Is this real? So I would start there, and I would already start thinking about what your method is going to be. When doTERRA opens in a new market, it takes at least a year for resources, materials, duplicatable systems to be put in place. So I would be creating that now. I would be looking at everything doTERRA has. I'd be thinking about language barriers. I would be thinking about how you can have everything. Think of somebody who is going to, for example, start with you as a customer. What will be your way of welcoming them, onboarding them, taking care of them? Are you going to use online resources like Facebook groups? Are you going to have a website where you have a hub where all your materials are? These are the kinds of questions. So you're asking yourself, when you enroll somebody as a customer, or when you have somebody who wants to start educating on the oils there, what will be your process? That's what you want to get clear on right now. So sometimes I'll say to people who want to do the business in doTERRA here with me, I'll say, okay, I want you to begin as a customer, but we're going to use your first 3 months for you to basically start building your business plan, your launch plan. You're going to think of how you're going to be educating, who you're going to be educating, how you're going to share the oils. You're going to open up your life and, be an example as often as possible of what you're teaching. So really show people the way to build that attraction to what you're doing. And that takes a season of time before you actually start building. So I hope that helps. And that's really helpful for any of you who are looking to start something new. There are phases to it. There are, ways that you can take it in chunks before the actual launch day. Okay. Laura said, what do you say to people that say, we don't believe in oils? I seem to be coming across more people that don't believe in them and don't want to even give them a try. So we kind of talked about this a few minutes ago. But again, I'll say this again, just be the example of what they do. I think that we worry about this when we're trying to prove something. You have nothing to prove. Just be the example. Let your life speak for you. Don't worry about whether other people believe in what you're doing. That has nothing to do with you. You take responsibility for what opportunities you've been given, for the access that you have. And everything else, honestly, everything else just falls into place, right? I think the question always is, there's asking the right questions leads us to the right place. If somebody is not believing in what you do, then all you can assume is that they're right where they want to be right now. Because what led every one of us to this lifestyle is that question, I wonder what's possible if I try something different, you know, or how good do I want to feel? How good do we want to feel? Like, a lot of people think life is like everything they're doing is perfect. They don't want to look at how they could integrate anything different. And perhaps they're seeing what you're talking about and they're not open to it because they don't want to change. So there's they're basically acknowledging everything's good enough right now, or maybe they feel it's great. And until they become open to how good it could feel to try a different way. Again, you know, what people do with what you offer is not up to you. Release that. There are so many people out there that you can help who are ready and willing and open and seeking. Why are you wasting one hot second worrying about what people that are closed off are thinking? Why? Why do we do that? We do that, don't we? We do that. We worry about the one person. I talk about this all the time when the topic of fear and judgment comes up. Why are we worrying about the one person that's going to think or say or judge us when there are literally hundreds of people that you are meant to help right now, if you could just release that person? So we close that off, you guys. We need to be more aware of the approval that we're seeking, right? Be more concerned with what you think about yourself. Be more concerned with what you're doing with the opportunity to rise up, to go to the next level in your own life, okay? Ashley said, I'm stuck in the same rank for months. I'm feeling like I haven't found my way of doing this business successfully and consistently. Any suggestions for getting unstuck? Yes, my answer is always really simple. Take a look at your care. What was your routine with your oils today? And how are you taking more ownership of your business? I want to tell you guys something. Those of you that are doing doTERRA as a business, one of the greatest gifts you could give to your business is to stop focusing on what everyone else is doing on your team. Often especially at the higher levels as leaders, I see a lot of leaders who tap out energetically, who get lazy through success, who are focused too much on what everyone's doing in their team, and they've lost their love for what they do through that. So when you're feeling that way, it's time to reinvent, and it's time to shift your focus so that a good 80% of everything you do is about your own personal action. I think mine's actually even higher. If I was focused on what all of my leaders were doing or weren't doing, that would be a quick path to me feeling completely unmotivated and just stuck in my business. And because I know that, and I've been there have been times where I shared this on Instagram last night. So I'm an activator. It's my number one strength. But the dark side of an activator is I can be very impatient with people. I'm very triggered when something's either done too slowly or done lukewarm. That to me is like an instant repulsion, because my personal approach in my work is to give everything my best, and if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow through, and that's a personal conviction. But unfortunately, I see other people through that lens. And so there are many times where in my own business, I have to just remind myself, let them be on their journey, right? My journey is not theirs. Okay. So yes, stay in your own lane, as Crystal said. So when you're feeling stuck, it is not an issue with what you're working with, the product. It's not an issue with the opportunity. The issue lies in your own routine, your own action. There are leaks happening if you're stuck, and you're looking too much at what other people are doing. That's the truth. Piggyback question. I've been building for my business for 3 years, but very scattered and a lot of stop and go. So would you recommend taking 3 solid months for a relaunch process? Absolutely. I think that's a great tip. Piggyback. Thank you for that. When you're stuck, it's time to relaunch. What if you were to start fresh and go through? So for example, if you guys are building doTERRA, we have a launch guide. It guides you through your first couple months in the business. Go back at it. I don't care what rank you're at, what level you're at. It always begins with us. You guys, you know what? I know for a fact that everything I'm feeling in my own business, in my own day, the way that I respond to opportunities that are given to me, whether it be doTERRA launches a new collection, let's say this health habits kit. Let's use this as an example. How I receive that and respond to that gift affects my entire team. I have people on my team that could care less about those kinds of opportunities, but they're people who aren't growing. Okay. If I'm going to stay in growth, I, as the leader at the front, need to be deeply committed to giving my best to what I've been given. And this is that conversation of, can we be trusted with more? We can be sure that we're going to be trusted with growth in whatever form that's taking in your life right now, whether that be growth in your community, growth in your business ranks, growth in your bank account. We can be absolutely sure it's coming if our own personal action is saying, I'm ready, let's go, because you're taking that ownership. It is not coming for you if you're refreshing your numbers every day, expecting them to grow. If you're on calls all day long with your team, trying to figure out all they're doing, and it's making you feel busy and accomplished, but it's actually not. There's nothing moving in your business because it's just a lot of talk. Take all those calls off the calendar, you guys. That's fake work, because we have everything we need right now. If you're building a business today, you have access to every single thing you need to build it. So if you want to know what's missing, it's your own action. You're telling yourself you need more, but you have not been shown you can be trusted with more because you're not working with what you've been given. And so, back to the question about being a leader in a new area, it's a brilliant opportunity to show that you're the one that can be trusted, because everyone else is going to be talking about how hard it is. I love when I hear that, because you know what I do as an activator. So if I have activators on this call right now, and I'm talking about the Gallup Strengths Finder, top 34 strengths, there's no perfect strength. So as I say that, I want to just establish a tone here. Just because I'm talking about being an activator doesn't mean it's the best strength to have. It's certainly not. None of them are. But as activators, when everyone else is talking about how hard something is, you're the one with your head down doing the work, because you're the one who's all about the new way. You see the vision. You see what people don't see. Okay. So activators do well in a new market for sure. If you don't know your strengths yet, you should check those out. All right. I'm going to come back to the live questions in just a moment. I think there was one more that was submitted that I wanted to answer here and talk about. Let me see where it is. Okay, Cass, I think she's on live. She said, can you talk about collaboration, specifically if there are a few doTERRA leaders in one town from different teams? What might that look like? Advantage, question mark. How can we support, encourage, and engage each other? So yeah, I love this. Collaboration is my favorite. Like I mentioned, I'm collaborating with some of my Presidential Diamond friends to offer a launch program to our people, because I'm going to go with the strong assumption that my team is probably tired of hearing from just me, right? Collaboration's brilliant because you're bringing in fresh perspectives. It's why community rocks. I love when you guys engage and comment with each other. We're collaborating on topics right now through how you're receiving it, through your own experiences, and through that collective we rise, right? Collaboration is all about rising up together. So if you live in a local area, and truthfully, I think this is where doTERRA is so strong. It's what really sets doTERRA apart as an industry, as an opportunity, is you'll find even the fact that I shared with you that I'm collaborating with 10 other of the most successful leaders in doTERRA who could, easily think in lack, who could easily think, I'm going to keep what I do to myself, because they're so successful. When you're this successful, you have a lot of nuggets to share, right? But we're coming together to be even greater together. So what I would suggest, Cass, if you're talking about a local situation, collaborating with other leaders, what I would do is be the one to bring them together. I would do monthly open classes. And maybe it starts off as monthly, and then maybe it moves more to weekly, where one of you holds that space for education and learning on a regular basis, and you just alternate. And there's that trust, there's that acknowledgement that whoever invites ends up taking care of the person, and you show up and teach together, and you create that community locally. I think there's a lot of benefit if you are a leader to have a cross-team accountability situation, somebody that you talk to on a regular basis that you can share ideas with. You'll find a lot of growth that way. You really will. So if that doesn't exist for you, then I would be the one to start it up, right? I would look at who, and the nice thing is it doesn't have to be a local situation. It can be online. I mean, my goodness, we're so connected today. There's so many ways maybe you create a Zoom. Maybe what you do is you connect with other leaders at your same level or a little bit higher, and you offer some sort of a Zoom opportunity or private Facebook group for your teams only that you can welcome people to, even if you do it for a quarter or for 6 months, and see how that goes. All right, let's take some more live questions, and then we'll wrap this puppy up. Sarah said, can you be successful if you build a business strictly online without one-on-ones? You totally can. I have a diamond leader who way prefers building online. However, what you need to understand is there's more friction in building trust with people online. It's going to take you 3 times longer. So because the reality is, when you are in a room with somebody, when you can actually be shoulder to shoulder, sitting with somebody and look them in the eyes, there's a quick trust that's built in that situation. People also today, we're all just super tired of the posturing going on online. Like you have and you can tell this pretty clearly now with people where if you were to meet them in real life, it'd be a super flat experience, nothing like what they're pitching online. There's a lot of that's gone on over the last couple of years. And actually, I don't know if you guys saw the latest updates from Instagram. Instagram is looking at moving towards a situation where you're not going to see photos just because of likes. They might even remove the ability to show the amount of likes on a photo, because what's happened is people are posting things just so that they get likes. Women, unfortunately, we know if we want to get a couple thousand likes on a picture, all we have to do is show some skin. I know if I post a picture of this oil bottle on a countertop with some beautiful things around it, like flowers and a diffuser, it's going to get a couple hundred likes. I post a picture of this with my face or next to my body, and I'll have a couple thousand. It's just the way it works. And so because of that, I share that with you, because building online, it's really... you have to be in it for the long game. And I mean like a decade. If you really want to build something. I've been building online for over 10 years, not doTERRA, but my brand. And long game. You have to be you have to create even more content than you would if you were building in person. However, I do think today you want to look at how you can do both because of the world we live in. Yes, people want community and connection, but they trade that in for convenience, right? They trade it in. Gary Vee talks about that all the time. People say they're concerned with their privacy, but in a heartbeat, they start using Alexa when it makes their life easier. I'm not saying everybody. Certainly, I know there are a lot of you that aren't on board with ideas like that. But the thing is, people are trading in the ability to sit in a living room with other women and share stories and have that village feel to be able to just stay home in their pajamas and learn through a computer. So you do need to be in both spaces. But if you're just looking to build solely online because you shared here that you have fear around being in person, there's work to be done because the online experience is no easier and it's no more gentle. If your fear is judgment, let's say, of people in person, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but it's going to be even harsher online. You do need to be able to know who you are regardless and let go of the fear of what people think. I mean, the sooner you can all do that, it's not easy. It's certainly not easy. And it's only going to come through experiences where you feel kind of ripped apart. I've been through it. I mean, every single week I hear from somebody who writes something hurtful, but I also hear from hundreds of people who write something super sweet and loving. Not a week goes by. I just want to be real with you guys. The online space is interesting because anybody will feel like they can say anything. So I would just unpack why you're fearing being in front of people and ask yourself some questions around, what version might that fear take online? Because that is a reality. Yeah. Okay. Again, if you guys can put your questions in capital letters, so I actually see them. Just it's tough to find your questions in the comment flood. Britty said, I'm interested in business, but I just joined a few months ago. How long do you suggest learning and educating myself before teaching other people about essential oils? I don't want to come across as uneducated. So the point of that incubation time is not so that you know everything. It's not so that you feel like you are an aromatherapist or have, every single answer that somebody could ever ask a question for. The point of that time is to get to know your resources because you're going to be helping people. You're going to be connecting people to resources. The point of that time is to integrate a higher level of self-care for yourself and to build experiences using your oils because your experiences matter. That's what people are more interested in. I could post, this is interesting. So I have an essential oil community group of 25,000 people. And because there's so many people in there, very few posts are seen, okay? But I can make posts in there about how I'm doing something with oils, and it might get a little bit of engagement. If someone else in the community posts within that group an experience that they just had that was powerful, it will have hundreds of comments. So even though I'm the admin, the leader of that group, people care more about somebody's experience who has just started with the oils and it's like blown their mind or changed their life in some way. That is received very powerfully. So your experiences really matter. And that's the point of the first couple of months. You don't want to rush that process, but you also don't want to wait thinking that tomorrow you'll have it all. Tomorrow you'll be ready. You're never going to be ready. So you need to also learn as you go. You're going to learn a lot as you go, and you're going to fail. You're going to flop. You're going to do things. You're going to have things that you might think are mistakes, but they weren't. That's where the real learning comes. So you do have to eventually, I usually find it takes about 3 to 4 months for someone to really integrate some beautiful routines and build some experiences and use their resources. And then they want to have their launch class. And it all goes from there. The difference today, you guys, building doTERRA, just so you know, the difference today versus when I started 5 years ago is more people now know about essential oils. When I first started teaching, it was like, huh? Do you cook with these? What are these things, right? But now more people are familiar with essential oils. And so your work, your education, your educating needs to be very focused on teaching people that yes, there are essential oils and then there are pure essential oils. And the gap is really big between those two things. And here's why. That's what you want to, you want to spend time on Source to You. You want to spend time understanding doTERRA's sourcing. Even just go to their YouTube channel and look at all of the sourcing stories there. You want to understand why it matters when you have a pure oil. What's the point in that? You want to be able to speak to that, the constituents. You don't need to know all of the things that make up a pure lavender essential oil, but you should understand that it's because of one or two constituents in lavender that the body turns on, okay? The body now comes to life. It's working with those constituents. So that's really where your educating needs to be now, not so much about here's essential oils, here's what they are, but really it's assuming most people understand that yes, essential oils are a thing. Yes, they can buy them at the mall or the gas station, but why are they going to pay more for doTERRA? What does that purity actually entail? Amber said, I've been hearing a lot of things lately about doTERRA's oils being fractionated, meaning they're cut, meaning that you're saying doTERRA cuts their oils. That would not be true. I think anytime we start off with, I've been hearing a lot of things. What's the source? Why are they sharing it? Again, discernment, right, friends? We have to be able to think deeper. How do you decide who to let be an admin in your private group? Is it by rank? I'm an admin. My assistants are an admin, and a few of my leaders. Okay, scrolling. Let me check over on Facebook. We'll wrap this up. I'll take like one more question. Let's see. I want to scroll to find something we haven't talked about yet today. Kylie said, when learning and growing as a leader, how do you portray authenticity with currently learning while being the point person specifically for your online audience? Authenticity, I mean, I would ask you guys, how do you determine authenticity? What matters to you? Let's let Kylie know. What matters to you when you're experiencing somebody? How do you know you can trust them? I have an answer to this, but I want to see if we're on the same page. How do you guys determine whether or not somebody is interesting to you? How do you determine that you may want to learn from somebody? Even if they're new in a certain space. Okay, Cass said, when someone admits what they don't know. Kelly said action. Let's hear from Facebook. You guys chime in. What matters to you when you are seeking guidance in an area? Why might somebody stand out to you? Get as specific as you can. Insta, we're going to lose you in 1:56, so I'm going to close this out. There's trust. Julie said, they ask questions, drawn to their warmth and positive words, passion, being honest. I always say I'm a mom who loves her oils and love to share. When they're talking about what they live what they talk about. They ask me questions about what I'm seeking. Eye contact, genuine interest in your needs. Colleen said consistency and showing up. All of these things go into this formula of trust, right, you guys? Kelsey said when they're real and not needing to be perfect. Crystal says they use their own products. They're clearly using their products. Let them see your life as proof. When they show up as they are If I feel I can identify with them in some way, yes, that's big. I think like there's also been this period of curated imperfection, if that's even a thing. I'm trying to describe. So I think we're coming out of this time where it's like, please just show me what's real. Please don't show me what you're showing me just to gain metrics and followers. Show me the real, and show me what you know through how you live, right? That is what matters to me. You know, when somebody gets my attention, it's because I can very clearly sense that what they're talking about to me through a screen or in a classroom, they're practicing when no one is looking. That's a sense that you have about people. There's a through line through what they do. We lost Instagram, but we're going to close out here, you guys. A lot of what we talked about today, and this is so many of our questions revolve around our level of awareness and level of ownership that we're taking in our own life. We realize that it always starts with us. I want to share with you something I shared earlier this week on social, and this message is really relevant to our conversation today. It comes from Kavita Ramdas. She said, "We need women who are so strong that they can be gentle, so educated that they can be humble, so fierce that they can be compassionate, and so passionate that they can be rational, so disciplined that they can be free." Yes, I love that. And I have nothing to add to that, except we are all given this invitation to lead a big life, to impact other people through how we do that. And to know that it's never been our responsibility what they do with it next. Our only responsibility is how we take care of what we've been given. And that, I think, was the through line through our whole talk today. Be the one that models what we're talking about here. And everything takes care of itself, honestly. If you're feeling stuck, it takes care of itself. Put your eyes back on your paper. Look in the mirror more. Don't be looking at what your team's doing or everyone else. It always, always, always starts with us. And the cool thing is, if you have signed up for this gig, if you are a business owner and you've said yes to creating a life that other people might just talk about, this is the work. This is the work. It's every day deciding it's up to me, and it always has been. And what other people do with that is entirely their journey. Release that responsibility or that thinking that anything else is up to you but that. All right, we'll get this uploaded to iTunes tomorrow, and then watch for the money series. We'll post that next week. I'll have all the podcasts and show notes up on wholefit.com if you go to the podcast section. And like I mentioned, if you want to join the conversation live in May, I'll be streaming here May 22nd at 2 o'clock. And this was episode 50. What a great episode 50. Love you guys. Thank you for joining live and working with me to bring these questions to life and sharing your insights as well. Appreciate you, and I'll see you May 22nd. Hey, thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you liked the content, please consider hopping over to iTunes and leaving a review so that more people can find this show. If you have a question or a topic suggestion for future shows, head over to wholefit.com/pod question. You can also find all past episodes and show notes at wholefit.com/podcast. See you next time.